Hi there, my name is Vanessa. I'm the Assistant Director of Multimedia and Fiction at the Headquarters Library. I'm here to talk about Pride books that cover some really great themes in celebration of Pride, which is the month of June. Every summer, the LGBTQ communities come together to celebrate Pride in their identity and in their community. And according to the Library of Congress, this commemorative month is also a time for advocates, allies, and other individuals to celebrate the impact that LGBTQ individuals and groups have had on their communities and on the country. These 4 books are all available in our collection, digital as well as physical. And we'll go ahead and start with the first one, which is Speak No Evil by Uzodinma Iweala. This is a book about Niru. His parents are Nigerian immigrants. He is a track star at a prestigious DC private school, and he is headed to a Ivy League school for college. His best friend, Meredith, is someone he has shared a secret with about his sexuality. No one else knows, but Meredith has her own situations, and when she is mired in dealing with one of these situations, Niru's father finds out about his secret. This book is a pretty brief read, but that doesn't mean that it lacks any kind of heart, any kind of impact, and any kind of gut punch at the very end. I really enjoyed this book. I thought a lot of the themes were very well explored, and I would highly recommend giving it a listen if you have not. That is Speak No Evil, this beautiful rainbow, and it's by Uzodinma Iweala. The next book is The Prettiest Star. The Prettiest Star is published right here in Spartanburg by the Hub City Publishing Group. And it has this beautiful rainbow cover. The Prettiest Star is actually the title of a David Bowie song. This is by Carter Sickles, who has gotten lots of press since this book came out in May. This book is about the impact of the AIDS epidemic in the mid to late 80s. Brian has been living in New York. He has developed a community and made all sorts of friends in New York. Hasn't really been home to his small town in quite some time. He does end up coming home as a part of the introduction of the book to his family, which includes a teenage sister who he hasn't seen in many years. This book is told from the voice of several members of the family, which I really liked, and it shows some of the impact, some of the situations that occurred, in small town America following during the AIDS epidemic. Highly recommend it. It is a very powerful read. The next book is This Is How It Always Is by Lori Frankel. This is a very popular book with the celebrity book clubs. I found it in Hoopla and just dove right in. It is a story of a family with 5 children, 5 boys. The youngest boy, Claude, lets his mom know at a very young age that when he grows up, he wants to live as a woman. The mother and father and the family just kind of start to adapt to his lifestyle, his interests, and his desires, grant him the autonomy for his sexuality, and just really make a very beautiful story. That's not to say that there's not a number of struggles. This book is all about some really serious struggles with a family trying to kind of hide a secret, also trying to live their lives and try to be as normal or seen as normal as possible. This book also has a blue cover And again, you can find it in audiobook, ebook, physical copy, and I believe it is still available on Hoopla. The next and final title is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. Ocean is a poet, so his prose is fantastic, flowy. It's got some really great great word choices. Ocean, his narrator is a person called Little Dog. Little Dog is queer, and he is speaking to his mother, who is illiterate, about some themes in his life. He shares themes that include violence, addiction, sexuality, love, family, devotion. Because Little Dog's mother is a single mom, there's some really great close relationship statements there. So I would highly recommend this book as a longer reading of maybe some poetry if you're in the mood for that. It's been a very popular pick on awards lists, and Ocean has another really great book that I am going to look into next. That's all for today. Thanks so much for joining. This has been a presentation of our summer reading programming this summer. If you have any questions or need any assistance finding your next title, please stop by the AV desk or give us a call. And also, if you need a summer reading card, give us a call and we will mail you one. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Hey, my name is Josiah, and I am with the Multimedia and Fiction Department at the headquarters library. I'm going to be doing a movie talk, talking about a couple different movies that I like. Since June is Pride Month, I'm going to be talking about movies that center around LGBTQ plus characters. The movies that I picked aren't necessarily representative of the entire scope of LGBTQ plus film, but they do come from a couple different genres, so they'll offer different entry points for viewers who are interested. The first two films I'm going to talk about are Maurice, a British film released in 1987, and Carol, which was released in 2015. Both are based on novels, and Maurice is based on an E.M. Forster novel written in 1912, and Carol is based on a Patricia Highsmith novel written in 1952. Maurice, the novel, was not released until the 1970s because E.M. Forster didn't feel that it could be published in his lifetime. His novels tend to be very critical of Edwardian, early 1900 British society, and Maurice the film is the same. It follows the titular character Maurice, played by James Wilby, as he, discovers his homosexuality, his feelings for other men, and seeks out a meaningful relationship. It explores the ways in which the society was against him and others who also had same-sex feelings, and how they faced imprisonment and social isolation. It also explores how wealth and prestige and class influence those sorts of relationships, and what certain individuals were willing to risk in pursuit of, love and a relationship with another human being. And the movie Carol, which was directed by Todd Haynes, is similar in that it explores two women who fall in love in 1950s New York City. It centers around Carol, played by Cate Blanchett, as she falls in love with Rooney Mara, a clerk at a department store and amateur photographer. Carol's husband, who's aware of his wife's relationship with other women, hopes to use those relationships and sort of the cultural and even laws of the time to basically gain sole custody of their child. And the movie explores the sort of obstacles that the two women have, but Also, just what it means to try to have a family when you know, you're attracted to someone as the same sex as yourself, and how the laws of the time were built around punishing people for those feelings. Both Carol and Maurice are absolutely gorgeous films, and they have beautiful photography and beautiful settings and great costume work that really transport you to the period that those films take place in. And so if you're interested in sort of historical set films or period pieces, they both would be great entry points. And they've got fantastic performances from superstar actors like Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara and Hugh Grant and Maurice. And so are just great drama films from those perspectives. As a counterbalance to those films and really placing a film in a more contemporary setting, Moonlight, directed by Barry Jenkins, focuses on a young black man who goes through life slowly sort of discovering his feelings and kind of working against this culture that is really against him. It is so different from these other films, not only in its sort of color palette, it's got very dark blues, and it's set in Miami, so really just the aesthetic is completely different from the historical settings of the other films, but also in that it has an entirely black cast and really approaches homosexuality and the stigma surrounding that from the perspective of someone in the black community, specifically in the city of Miami, and shows in which ways that's different from maybe how the experiences of these other characters, but also how, at least in the case of this young man's life, it's mixed with his mother's drug addiction, abuse he sustained as a young child, and the movie does such a good job of following him through these different periods of his life and seeing how he grows and how the world affects him, and the fact that it was inspired by the lives of both of its writers and its directors really shows in the details that it pays to those different moments. It's got fantastic performances by the three actors who play the character in his different periods of his life, as well as performances by Mahershala Ali as a drug dealer who befriends him, and Naomi Harris, who plays his mom. It was one of the first LGBTQ films to win Best Picture, and so it's not only a great indie film, but also historically significant in cinema. The final film I want to talk about is just kind of a personal favorite of mine. It is a Korean film directed by Chan-wook Park, and unlike the other films, which tend to lean a little bit more drama, this film is almost entirely a sort of thriller taking place during Japan's invasion of Korea in the early 1900s and its occupation of Korea. It's called The Handmaiden because it follows a Korean handmaiden as she goes to serve a occupying Japanese woman, and of course she's there to steal from this woman because she's a thief, and she's there as a con artist. But of course, over the course of the story, she falls in love with her and discovers that this woman's life is not perfect, and that she has her own sort of things that she's trying to escape from in a abusive relationship and constraining, almost imprisoned world. The film has all the hallmarks of a thriller and of a mystery. It has betrayals, it has murder, it has escapes, and is probably the most graphic of the films that I've talked about in this list, but is also probably one of the most fun. The Korean cinema is excellent at sort of blending different genres and different tones, so it's both at times funny, and at other times it's dramatic, and at other times it's horrific, but ultimately has some really beautiful scenes and does a great job of illustrating liberation, not only through the expression of love and sexuality, but also from literal escape from abuse and the horrors of an abuseful relationship. So these are, of course, only 4 films. We have lots of films in our collection that feature and are focused on LGBTQ plus characters and issues. If you're looking for films that focus on transgender characters, then some great ones that are in our collection are A Fantastic Woman and Tangerine. And if you're looking for some more YA focused films that focus on younger characters in high school and sort of the early stages of them being in relationships and dating, some great films are Love, Simon and Booksmart, and then some other more recent films that focus on the struggles that LGBTQ plus individuals face in society, and with not entirely accepting people around them. Examples of good films would be The Miseducation of Cameron Crowe, or Boy Erased, or Disobedience. So hopefully I gave you a couple options to think about and some different films that you might want to check out. Yeah, so thanks.